I love how it's a meme here. Blacksmith equals world record. And again, dude, it's another blacksmith equals world record, dude. So frustrating. Um, it's been a while since I've done an analysis, I think. But off spawn there's a village, right? Excuse me. There's also quite a bit of ocean around. What's up, Danny? Um, if I toggle that off, because we're gonna be like checking out the world, dude. We're gonna be checking out the world, especially with F3. Um, so there's quite a lot of ocean around. There's really like you can't see any shipwrecks off the rip. If I were to spawn in, right, I'd probably check over here, but the problem is tree proximity as well. So you're kind of decentivized to go to the ocean anyway. Because running to trees and then the ocean is like bad. So I think it makes sense to go to the village. Um, Obviously, like old players are gonna be more um, inclined to go to villages because they're villages are comfy. That's like the topic of villages is that they're comfy. Um, your food is guaranteed. You have a number of beds, so you can't get screwed on bastion trades. Um, and really, that's about it. And then sometimes you get a blacksmith as well, and blacksmiths are just like baby shipwrecks sometimes. The golem isn't a major thing anymore. The golem used to be the main source of iron back in the day. Um, but now we need more than just 5 iron. Golems are kind of seen as a time loss. Hotel, 5th bed, sees a blacksmith, and then the first immediate routing decision is to go to the far one first, which makes sense. The start of the start of the village is behind him, meaning because he probably still wants to kill the golem, right? Or at least have it as a possibility. So the golem's behind him. So like it's already a time save that he went to the far blacksmith instead of the front blacksmith. It's a very small time save, but it's a time save nonetheless. Silver, what's up, dude? Thanks for the raid. 9 obsidian and iron pickaxe, so there's still chance to get screwed by the golem. No iron from the blacksmiths means that if you get 3 iron, you're going to be facing, around 30 seconds of time loss, I'd say, on average. Also, 9 obsidian means you have to make a bucket. A bucket is necessary here. If it was 10 obsidian, could just get 1 iron from somewhere and then enter. Oh, 1 iron from somewhere and then enter. It takes the iron sword as well, and that's something he mentioned in his analysis, or his commentary. So he takes the sword out of the blacksmith, which most people kind of glaze over. Iron swords aren't that useful for the mobs that we typically kill. Blazers and just regular mobs like zombies and all that, an iron sword is 3 hits, whereas a stone axe is 2 hits. So swords aren't really used at all, but he gets a bit of time save on the golem. I'm not sure how much of a time save it is, but it's a time save nonetheless. If we look at the terrain in this world, it's quite flat. It is kind of promising for a lava pool here. But Illumina's already came through the whole like flat area and hasn't found any lava pool. And I mean, there's a whole lot of hills over there, which is kind of bad for lava pools. There's trees, which usually is not very good for lava pools. Entering fast at a blacksmith is usually the right decision anyway, but hanging on to 9 obsidian lets you potentially do classic. If you spawn at a fortress and then just get classic trades, you can skip a bastion entirely, which is at least 2 minutes of time save, I'd say. But it's not looking that good for lava pool. The ocean's pretty far away. He knew that as well. Running to the ocean and then finding magma ravine would probably take a really long time. So I think it's pretty obvious that the right decision is to just make the portal with the 9 obsidian. Low 3 enter, and then nether. Basalt spawn looking pretty ugly. Illumina doesn't use F3 at all, right? Which means that he can't use recent tech of microlensing. So I've got other videos on what microlensing is. But it's basically, you get to see bastions through walls. So I'll just let my chunks load up. I could have loaded this nether in advance, but whatever. So, oh, I've got mob spawning off. That's hilarious. Let's turn that back on. There we go. We've got 120 versus 220. So 100 difference. There's 3 bastions here and 1 unknown. That's what a F3 player would know. And then you'd zoom in. There's a bastion and positive. There's probably a bastion negative. It looks like there's a negative bastion, or maybe it's positive negative. It's hard to tell. This terrain is awful. This looks absolutely terrible. I'd never want to go here at all. And without F3 in general, like before the microlensing meta, what you'd want to do when you get into the nether is just go where it's open, because without microlensing, you need to maximize like nether scene, you know? You need to see as much as possible, basically, because bastions are pretty small. So you kind of need them, you hope for them to be in the open, where you're going to see as much as possible. And it opens up over here, so it's looking real promising. Illumina does use planar fog, which is the previous meta before microlensing, obviously. This is looking bad. For me playing this nether, I can see there's a stables over there. I can see a stables. I don't even know where he went. Let's find out. Yeah, he does his no F3 trick of saying where positive is. I'm not even sure if he goes there. Suppose he does. He said in his analysis that he just kind of has the best chance of finding a structure in positive, which is mostly true. Every region except for positive has a 64 block border where there can't be a structure. So positive can have things closer to spawn, but it's overrated. Like, it's better to just go where it's open, you know. Sending positive every single time. It doesn't really pay off. There is a border where things can't be, but 64 blocks is not super prohibitive. Being where it's open and then seeing things is more important. But I don't think that changed decision making too much in this run anyway. Yeah, this nether looks pretty bad off the rip. finds a fortress. Just mountain climbing time. Yeah, it doesn't use gamma either. He said in his commentary that he sees the bastion from here. It's pretty obvious in the top right of the screen there. So suddenly the run looks pretty good, you know. Definitely looking to be sub 10 blind pace. I think he was just checking to see what the bastion was. And then starts using the sword on the blazes, which really doesn't matter that much. Like, the speed at which you kill blazes doesn't really matter that much, because you do need to kill the blazes really quickly. In a spawner, so that the next spawn isn't interrupted, because spawners spawn less by consequence of a blaze can't spawn inside of another blaze. So it's important to kill the blazes as fast as possible. But I think on average it's going to take 25 seconds for a spawner to spawn the next set, and 25 seconds is a long time. So the rate at which you kill blazes is not really that important. But yeah, already has 6 rods. I believe it was 6 and 8. They're pretty ridiculous. Something else about the fortress routing is he went to the spawner and then killed the strays and then went back to the spawner again. I think that checks out as like really good, like the correct play. But something I've never known is, well, I don't think that the spawner continues to tick while you're away from it. Like, the spawner, you need to be within 16 blocks of the spawner for it to tick. Which is why a while ago Razeworks made a video talking about double blaze spawners. A double blaze spawner isn't really real unless you have them like really close to each other where both of them are being ticked. You basically, if you're far away from a spawner, it's not gonna decrease the time for the next cycle. Like, it's not gonna be ready to cycle by the time you get back. So for Illumina to kill those blazes and then kill the strays and then come back, it wasn't necessarily saving any time on the next spawner cycle. So yeah, the order doesn't really matter, but you could argue that the order mattered in terms of proximity, because thinking about that, it means that you want to be next to a spawner as much as possible, right? So that the clock keeps ticking down. So when he walked in, if we think about proximity, so there's blazes behind him. Priority is you want to be near a spawner as much as possible. If he goes to the spawner and then to the blazes and then to the spawner, the time that he's killing strays is going to be time that the spawner won't be ticking down. So honestly, I would have killed the strays first and then went to the spawner so that you're next to the spawner as long as possible. So it's kind of hard to gauge, but I think it's something of a time loss. It's a very minor time loss. But that, honestly, that's the topic of this run, is there's very little time losses. The only reason this wasn't a sub 12 is because the blind was bad. This run was really good. The overworld was basically perfect. The fortress had a small bit of time loss, and it also just went crazy on the rods. Yeah, fireboat, pretty standard new stuff. He wasn't sure if it would have got him further, or if it was useful at all. It's not any time loss. It probably got him further up the hill, which was good. Um, he stayed at the bastion for a moment because of the lava. He was like kind of upset about it, thinking the lava, it's messing with the bastion. It's no big deal. Just march along. So the lava's relevance in this run is that the reason we started, because when we started our bastions, right? If we go back to the history of treasure routing, with T-Wag's route, T-Wag, he starts at the bridge like we do now. Starts at the bridge, gets the 2 gold blocks from there, makes armor, and then runs in and makes a pit at the staircase upstairs. And then when we tried to grind down bastion splits, we skipped the bridge entirely. We just went straight up the stairs, got the gold out of the walls, and started trading. But the problem with that is treasure loves to scam you on gold, and it also has a very low amount of pigs. Like it's something like 9 or even less, or like 7 or something. Treasure has a really low amount of pigs, which means that the trades are going to be slow. So we started going back to the bridge, like in this route. We started going back to the bridge because we can get 2 or more pigs to run up the stairs, which is why we break that block in the staircase, the Danny block, because I get stuck on it. But treasure struggles on pigs, so we get those pigs now from the bridge. The relevance of the lava is that it limits the pigs. It doesn't let the pigs come up the stairs anymore. So it's like really unfortunate that lava is there, because the trading's going to be slower. We should have looked at, when was the bastion entry? We'll say here, like 6 minutes. We'll just say 6 minutes, right? So a treasure split nowadays is like, it should always be around 2 minutes. My mods are kind enough to update a sheet on my runs, like statistics and everything. And treasure is actually the second fastest bastion for me. After housing, there's only like 2 seconds difference or something between housing and treasure. Treasure has, like, this current route has an amazing chance to high roll, and lets us leave the bastion really quickly. Housing is like really consistent. It trades all of the gold in a really short amount of time, which is what makes housing really fast. But treasure, either it's going to be an hour and a half or an hour. Either it's going to be a minute and a half, or it's going to be like 2.5 minutes, which is quite a lot of variance for a bastion. Housing is basically always going to be under 2 minutes, unless you get rolled on obsidian and you have to run upstairs. Stables is always around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes if you get unlucky on chests. And bridge, it's usually a little over 2 minutes because of bridge is just kind of bad. But yeah, treasure, sometimes you don't even get to leave treasure. Treasure, its gold blocks upstairs have a 30% chance to not generate at all. Treasure just ends up being, the gold doesn't always generate. It's only got 4 chests, which is more than the current housing meta route of manhunt downstairs. But you just get screwed basically. What happens in treasure is you get screwed all the time because gold doesn't generate. You don't get much obsidian. You don't have many pigs. There's all kinds of problems with treasure. Either it's fast or it's really slow, or you don't even get to leave it. I'd say it's easily the most inconsistent bastion. So having the lava there, all of that, having the lava there equals bad, because treasure's bad enough. So having more things go wrong with treasure is just really bad news. So it was a 6-minute bastion enter. He's doing the Ninja Brain route, which has existed for a while, but only as an unlisted video. Ninja Brain has recently made an updated video that's public on the Ninja Brain route. The main benefit of Ninja Brain route is that you get to throw gold from upstairs. So here we go with treasure. Let me just go back a little. So there's usually a gold block here, 70% chance of a gold block. Scammed, and then scammed again. He should have checked the bottom gold block. But he didn't. So he goes over to check this bottom right block. I'd say it's probably correct to check the top left block as well. He kind of skims over a lot of these gold blocks. There's another gold block that can generate up here. I'm not sure if he checks it at all, but we'll find out. And then checks the gold block over here and nothing. Gets completely scammed. He finally gets this gold block. So there's a little, like, you know, a couple of seconds of time lost there. Not a big deal. But honestly, with the way these world records have been going, and he does get that top right gold block, but there's a bit of order to things. But he said that he only started learning this route today, when the video came out. So he's new to the route. He was probably just, you know, doing it for fun. It gets absolutely scammed on gold. What was it? He had nothing. He had one at the top right, one in the middle. So that's 2 out of 5. And then is he on the other side now? So he's 2 out of 5. 2 out of 6. Did he check the bottom? Dude, I'm so bad at, because of his gamma 0, dude. I can't see anything. 2 out of 6. Wait, was that? No, that's 2 out of 7. And now he's, what, 3 out of 8? 4 out of 10. Dude, I can't numbers. Basically, he gets completely rolled. Treasure just scams the fuck out of him. Which happens all the time. So, let me turn that. This is the next major thing. If we think his spawn is here, right? So, with Quake Pro, planar fog, if you're in third person, sprinting, is that all the variables? Quake Pro, sprinting, third person, you can see basically the perfect distance for blind travel. In the old planar fog meta, even though it was only a few days ago, it's now the old meta. If you could see a fortress off spawn, it meant that you could blind travel from it. So seeing a fortress off spawn in the planar fog meta was really good news, because it meant that you wouldn't have to throw an extra pearl to get back to the ring. So you kind of extend that to this. I'm not sure if he's kind of done the numbers on it as well. I'm not sure Illumina's methodology and everything on blind travel, but if we look here, I can't actually see the bastion from here. Where are we? We're at negative 23. This is so it's about 30 blocks away here from spawn. Can't even see it. And then if we get up here, honestly, the bastion's really far off spawn, so it looks pretty bad. I was just saying an example of if you can see a fortress off spawn, it means that you can blind travel, which is good. And if this wall wasn't in the way, you'd probably be able to tell that this is visible off spawn. You can blind travel from it. But this bastion seems really far. I was surprised in the run that he didn't throw an extra pearl, because we have to remember that he doesn't have any coordinates at all. So he just has to hope, or not hope, he does have an educated guess on what his coordinates are, but there's no good way really of knowing what your coordinates are. When he was checking the world, I saw what his coordinates were. Yeah, thanks for the parkour compliments. Thanks, guys. So he's at around 250, basically, which is a little over 30 blocks away from the ideal coordinates. But that's not a big deal at all. This is, you should blind here basically every time. Like pearling from here is just a struggle anyway, right? Like I guess you could pearl down there, but even that, I don't know. Building the portal here makes total sense. Being picky about the coordinates that you blind at is not worth it. It is true that you do want to be at around 220, 216 to blind travel, because that does give you best chance of being within 300 blocks of a stronghold. But you shouldn't like go out of your way to do it when you've got F3, that is. So in an F3 run, even this is good blind coordinates. In his situation, he had no idea what his coordinates were, and he also got rolled on obsidian. He only has 7 obsidian. He runs away from the pigs, and they're not trading, which is at least 1 trade. We're reaching almost 2 trades worth of time where the pigs could have been trading, which is unfortunate. There's a bit of time loss there as well, maybe up to 12 seconds of time loss. But he's waiting for obsidian, you know? Like, either he could hug these pigs and just wait until they've traded obsidian and then pearl away, or he could just build the portal here and wait for the obsidian trade. So he's kind of task overlapped trading and building a portal, which is always a benefit of fortress runs as well, is task overlapping, killing blazes and or waiting for blazes to spawn and building a portal. So sub 840 blind. It's in like the top 5 fastest blinds ever. So pretty fast. No, so the thing about the blind travel, like I just said, it really doesn't matter that much for you to be a bit far away from ideal coordinates. The reason it doesn't matter that much is because the stronghold doesn't give a fuck, and the stronghold will generate wherever it wants, you know? We do have like statistics on averages on like the stronghold will be on average closer to ideal coordinates. Is exclamation mark rings the command in this chat, I think? Maybe? Stronghold is more likely to be at ideal coordinates. But if you're trying to get a world record, just put the portal down, you know? Hope that because you're just trying to blind travel on top of the stronghold, and the stronghold really doesn't care what you think. It'll go wherever it wants. That's the seed. And in this case, I think it was true as well. We do locate stronghold, we get 1585, which doesn't break it. So 1500 blind in a world record. Pretty crazy. And if we go to ideal coordinates down here, these are basically ideal coordinates. Come on, dude. So this is in a situation where you have F3, right? Does that send me the same portal? God damn it, did it? Or is it different coordinates? This isn't the same portal, is it? Where did I use this? Is it the same portal? There's no way it's the same portal, dude. That said 1700 on the Z. This is 1900 on the Z. So 1585 versus 1560. Literally the same distance. So even if he threw an extra pearl downstairs to go to ideal coordinates, it wouldn't have changed blind at all. Because the stronghold doesn't care. So an F3 player would not have saved time at all. Would have wasted food, and wasted time, wasted a pearl. But anyway, it really doesn't matter where you put the portal, as long as it's nearby. Get out of here. And then it's kind of hard to analyze what's going on in a post-nether stronghold search without F3. There's no way of looking at the angles, looking at coordinates. Especially when it's 1500 distance. It's just kind of, you know, running. In my PB, it was boring as well. In my PB, it was like, yep, I'm just in a boat sailing to the stronghold. it's such a boring part of the run, which is it's nice that it's at the end of the run rather than early on. Otherwise, this game would probably be pretty boring. He's kind of throwing eyes to make sure that it's not behind him. He's thrown, what, 3 already? Which is a lot, but he's panicking, right? Imagine having an 840 blind. He's got crazy food as well. So that's one of the main benefits of a village, is you get so much bread, you can just throw pearls like it's nothing. He didn't have to use them that much. He threw like maybe 4 pearls or something. But... And then he throws another eye here. Strongholds don't like to be in oceans, so they try to not be in oceans. They'll snap 13 chunks, which is... What is 13 chunks? Somewhere around 200 blocks, is it? Am I stupid? 130 blocks, is it? Something like that. Yeah, I broke. Yeah, 200 blocks. So strongholds don't like to be in oceans. They are often on coastlines because they snap there because they don't want to be in an ocean. But if they can't reach any land, if they try to generate somewhere and there's no land within 208 blocks, then they just put themselves down in the water. So checks for a snap there as well. He's thrown 4 eyes, one of them's broken. But it's just sailing. He throws another eye to check for a snap to the island behind him. The first 3 throws, well, obviously the first throw you need to do. The second throw you need to do as well, but the third throw was probably unnecessary. But these 2 ocean throws are necessary. It's just boating. 1500 blocks of boating. And there's the stronghold. So there's no islands within 208 blocks. So it just puts itself down in the middle of the ocean. It's 2 light sources. It's easy to tell that this isn't the portal room because there's not light coming out of the other side. So there's actually a time loss there. It's obvious this isn't the portal room because otherwise it'd have light coming out of both sides. Over here, you can't actually see the other side of the portal room, but you could see the other side of the that other room. No stronghold nav to analyze. The average stronghold, I think, takes about 50 seconds to route. So getting an ocean exposed stronghold is just, it's so overpowered. Which is a reason why ocean worlds are good. I forgot to mention that at the start. It was the coastal village spawn. For whatever reason, the game, when there's ocean somewhere, the rest of the world is like ocean for some reason. Like there's ocean worlds and there's continent worlds. For some reason, there's like 2 types of worlds. We don't actually have any like conclusive evidence or anything about that, but it's a great reason to play ocean worlds. Right, so he's went for north-south 40, but then he's thinking, well, I may as well tower up. So up he goes, checks for a perch. This could have perched. The dragon's doing its own thing right now. It could have perched, but it's, you know, anything could happen. But if it did perch, it'd be like sub 1340 or something. Fireball, see you later. He can't get to exactly 122 because of no F3. 122, for some reason, gives more perches, but towering up in general is just good because distance from the fountain increases perch chances. And then it's pretty amazing that he registered this as a snap. This as a snap is just, it's so hard to tell. This does not look like a snap. When the dragon's heading to the fountain, it'll snap like crazy. This dragon's just on its merry way. It does not look like it snapped. I think, in his commentary, he just thought it was a perch, and that he's missed a lot of runs. I'm not sure if runs were PBs or not, but he said that he's missed a lot of runs to the dragon perching and him not noticing. So I think he threw the pearl, not because he thought he snapped, but it might have snapped, so he threw a pearl, you know? Because north-south ground is still fine. It wouldn't have killed the run. If he threw a pearl there and it wasn't perching, it wouldn't have been a big deal. So that pearl is pretty safe in any event. I probably would have thrown that pearl as well, like, especially on this pace, you know? Imagine missing that. So I think it makes total sense to throw that pearl, but also, if he actually thought that was a snap, then he's superhuman. And then just gets clean 5-bed. People really, I don't want to rain on his parade. People really overrate, or like over exaggerate how hard it is, to do no hitboxes 1 cycle. The timing is basically the same. Well, it is the same. It's not like it's a different dragon, you know? It's not like the dragon's behavior changes at all. Like it's harder to learn for sure, If we didn't have hitboxes, we'd probably still be 7-betting. Um, yeah, I've 5-betted no hitboxes, plenty of times. It's really hard to 4-bet because you need like the exact timing of it. But 4-betting is like visual cues, you know. It's the same thing with this. It's just a visual cue. Um, yeah. Easy clap. It was retimed to 13:53, I think. So very pog. What happened in the run? Yeah, it got retimed. I'm trying to think. Oh, we didn't time the bastion. Fuck. Need to time the bastion. Well, the bastion exit was 1840. It's pretty obvious. Oh, 840. So it was 6 minutes entering and then 840. So it was a 240 bastion, which is really slow actually. But that's treasure. Like treasure rolled him, you know? With a better treasure, it should have been like a 130 bastion, like a more lucky treasure. So this could have been sub 13 even. With a better treasure. Bastion absolutely just laid him out. Running Quake Pro? God damn. So the thing with F3 and no F3 is if we think of an absolute god world, right? If we think there's a best world possible, like a sub 1 RSG world, right? Maybe we don't need to think that low. A sub 10 RSG seed. Everything's going to be visible, right? You're going to spawn in. There'll be, you know, an instant village off spawn. You'll have an instant way of getting into the nether. So, you know, like a ruined portal or something. In his case, he had a blacksmith with 9 obsidian. And then as soon as you get in the nether, you know, you'll instantly see a fortress and a bastion off spawn, right? If we're thinking about the best possible world. You'll instantly have a fortress and a bastion off spawn. And then the stronghold will be ocean exposed, right? So none of these things require F3. You don't need F3 to find something that is right in front of you. The thing that F3 does is it lets you find bastions and walls, you know? F3, he said it in his commentary as well. What F3 does is it adds to consistency. But if you get a god seed, an absolute god seed, F3 does nothing. Yeah, for blind as well. If we think of an absolute god seed, you're going to be building the portal while you're killing blazes or something. Or you're going to be building the portal while trading with the piglins, right? Because you're going to task overlap building the portal and trading at the same time in an absolute god seed. So it doesn't matter what, like you don't need F3 for blind either, Because if we're thinking of a perfect world, you're going to be blinding either inside the fortress or inside the bastion, right? That's what the perfect world would have. Is you'd be building your portal while doing something else. So you don't need coordinates either. 4-4 you don't need either. You can look at the sun and you can look at block breaking animation, but if we're thinking of the perfect world, you don't need 4-4 anyway. It'll be ocean exposed portal room, right? You don't need F3 for that. So you don't need F3 for blind because the perfect world doesn't. It's building a portal while doing something else. No, the perfect world won't have everything at 0-0. Because you want to build the portal while doing something else. Or just spawn in a stronghold, yeah. You don't need F3 to spawn in a stronghold. You just need to be lucky. Or just have a god seed, you know? That's the fastest end enter by anyone. Um, so F3 only helps. Like, the thing with F3, um, is it does nothing for, like, getting a sub 10. A sub 10 world probably just has everything available right there. You're building like, if we think of previous world records, right? Rainx world record, blinding at the spawner. Kuraway world record, blinding at the spawner. What happened? Where did Xylonox blind? At the spawner? Did Xylonox blind at the spawner? I imagine he did. Yeah. And this world record, blinding at the bastion. You don't need F3 for that. F3 lets you know that you're in a good location, but that's it. It doesn't like improve your blind. The perfect world, you're going to be blinding at the spawner or blinding at the bastion. F3 improves consistency. F3 tells you if you're too early or too far, but a perfect world, you don't need F3. Like I said earlier, if you can see a structure off spawn, you can probably blind travel from there. Yeah, F3 can slow you down. There's some cases, all of the cases where F3 saves you time, it could just be better. There'd just be a better situation, you know? So if we think of 8-8, because I think 8-8 is one of the major reasons why F3 is really good is because you can throw far less eyes. You can get angles from eye throws, and you can also do 8-8, which is you throw 2 eyes and dig down and hit the stronghold if you're accurate enough. Things like calculated travel you can't do without F3 because you need 2 angles. But in a perfect world, you don't need calculated travel. In a perfect world, you don't need 8-8. All of these things where F3 saves time, they're just bad situations. It's where it's a bad situation, but F3 improves your time a little bit. So F3 doesn't give an unfair advantage. Except for, well, there's another thing recently, right? The whole E counter. So the top left here, and down here with M plus C, we've got 120 versus 212. So there's 3 bastions and loaded chunks. If there's no bastions, you can log out. So one of the major reasons why F3 is actually really good is that it saves on IRL time. You can reset a world faster. That's turning out to be one of the major reasons why F3 is really good. Same goes for post nether. If you see that if you do the angles, The stronghold's 2k away and it's 13 minutes. You can reset. If you spawn in a nether and there's no bastions, you can reset. Which means that F3 players right now are resetting more than no F3 players. So even though F3 is unnecessary for a god seed, if we think that a god seed has a certain probability to be rolled, and we're trying to find a god seed, then our strategy should be we should reset as much as possible to find the god seed. But you don't know if it's a god seed until you know it's a god seed, you know. And F3 will tell you if it's a god seed or not. Resetting efficiency is really important. If we think of Dylan resets to get early nether entries a lot. And is just really good at getting early nether entries in general. And that reset efficiency is what gets him so many sub 20s. Obviously, it's combined with skill as well, but you can have worse nethers, like bad nethers, but if you have a fast enter and a bad nether, you can still sub 20 with it. Yeah, exactly, T. An absolute godsend will probably have time spent micro lensing. There'll be, you know, maybe you'll be checking eye angles when it's ocean exposed. There'll be time lost from using F3, but there's time gained from using F3 in terms of reset efficiency and just consistency overall. Triangulation is pretty difficult without F3. And you also throw a lot more eyes. Illumina had to throw, 4, 5 eyes? Whereas an F3 player only needs to throw 2 in this world. The first eye to see, you know, where it's going, and then the second eye, using a variety of methods to find out how far away the stronghold is. And then once you know exactly how far away the stronghold is, you don't need to throw a single eye until you've covered that distance. You don't need to check coastlines. You don't need to do any of that. So Illumina threw 3 more eyes than an F3 player would. And there was an extra break as well. So an F3 player wouldn't have had one of the eye breaks. Which again is just consistency, right? Obviously, a god seed will have 8 eyes in the portal or something. But F3 improves consistency and improves resetting and that kind of thing, and just improves accuracy overall. But at the end of the day, a god seed is a god seed. F3 doesn't give you anything that just like makes it unfair. So I do support the purist split. Basically, no F3, Gamma 1, time attack rather than in-game time, so no pausing. These kinds of things. I think that a purist split would be cool. Like a more old school Minecraft speedrunning experience. The old Japanese rules and that kind of thing. I think that'd be cool. Like the way that Illumina plays, basically. Because I do think it's kind of unfair. F3 or no F3 players have to play a lot more worlds than F3 players do. They're wasting like IRL time compared to F3 players at the moment. And I'd just like to play both categories anyway. Like, I love milking everything in this F3 and everything, you know. But playing without coordinates and everything would be fun as well, you know. And I think a lot of people agree with that as well. It's like that'd probably play both categories. But there's also things like if this game was no F3, there'd be a lot of strategies that would be seen as too inconsistent. Because the thing with like good blind is it's like a 1 in 20 or 1 in 40 chance, depending on what you consider good blind. If we were doing no F3 and trying to blind travel and knowing exactly, 200 blocks away from spawn, I don't think that we would use blind travel at all. I don't think that the basis of hypermodern, which is getting blind travel, getting 10 obsidian by some means, I don't think that would be developed or used at all. We'd still be doing classic if it weren't for F3, because not only would we have to learn exactly how far away is 200 blocks without coordinates, but we'd also just get frustrated in the process. Like, it is really frustrating getting bad blind. So I don't think that hypermodern would have gained any traction without F3. Um, yeah, Ramiro. F3 will get us more sub 20s, but a sub 10 or a sub 8 will probably not need it. Well, they have ways of combining leaderboard silver. Or even like speedrun.com offers the ability to submit multiple runs and have like multiple runs on the same leaderboard from the same person. I learned that from Icarus. So they could actually have, we could submit F3 runs and no F3 runs to the leaderboard. Now, for this category, I think the way that speedrun.com words it is better runs obsolete your old runs, basically. So if you submit a faster time than your previous time, your other time will vanish from the leaderboard. It'll only be visible on your profile if someone clicks on your profile. But I'm pretty sure that we could have multiple runs from the same person. Well, ideally, only 2 runs from the same person on the leaderboard. So we could submit F3 times and no F3 times. The favorite API thing, it's just crazy that people are fucking downloading API in the first place. No one tells anyone to download the API. I don't I don't know how, like, especially Illumina, right? Illumina doesn't want to use any mods in the first place, but he still gets the API, which no one probably told him to do. The Fabric installer does? I've never had it. Usually I tick all the boxes on installers and everything, but I've never had API. My YouTube video doesn't tell you to get API. As far as I know, Mango might be able to tell me. The installer tells you that you might need it. It doesn't, yeah. But that doesn't mean that you should get it, you know? For most mods. Yeah, but not all mods. API lets you do cheaty mods. Oh, that's good, Mango. No, so Illumina had API, and it's been banned for a while. Like they said, any run submitted will just be denied. So the drama is, a lot of people have had their runs denied. No, it's not because of Dream. It's just because you don't need it. It's like Optifine's banned because it messes with the game, and also there's just better options. people have had runs denied to having API, but then Illumina, because it's the world record, there's a bit more special treatment around it. And people don't like that just because it's a world record and just because it's Illumina and that kind of thing. That the run will probably get verified. Well, that's not a speedrunning guide, Silent Motorboat. Yeah, Mango, but it doesn't feel that way, right? It's linked on speedrun.com, or Mango will get on top of that motorboat. Yeah, he did show everything. But the thing is that not everyone feels like they'll get that treatment, you know? No, people don't get pressed because it gets verified. People get pressed because they have runs denied because of it. But then Illumina's going to have his run approved, even though there's been multiple announcements that have said API is banned. If you submit an API run, it's going to be denied instantly without second thought, you know? But runs still come in with API. 3 announcements, yeah. So that's what the drama's about.